all projects I do, but especially with book covers, and then especially with this book cover, it was very much that it was all about collaboration. That was the name of the game. I want that person to feel proud. I want them to get that energetic buzz that this is what I did, this is me, this is my business. Everything you put out needs to be aligned with that first section. So that's why I help people with their marketing assets, whether that's online and digital or in print, large format, whatever it might be. And obviously within that comes the book covers.
Welcome to the Spotlight series, season 2 of the Showbiz Side Hustle podcast, where each week we meet one of the brilliant co-authors and creatives behind Spotlight on Success, the PerformerPreneur book that's redefining what success looks like both in and out of the showbiz spotlight. I'm your host here, Nicole Louise Geddes, and in these special episodes we learn even more about the stories behind the sequins. Raw, honest, powerful reminders that the end of one act is only the beginning of another. So listen in as we chat challenges and triumphs and inspire you to shine in any spotlight you like. Hello everyone and welcome to this very special episode of the Spotlight series, where today we celebrate not just the voices in the spotlight, but the creative collaborators who helped brought our big vision to life. Because the truth is, no success story is a solo act. Whether it's a business, a book, a performance, or a new beginning, it takes a crew, a cast, an ensemble of talented people working together to make the magic happen. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Simon Clements, the brilliant graphic designer who turned my ideas into the stunning Spotlight on Success book cover you see today. With creativity, intuition, and serious design skill, Simon took everything I imagined and transformed it into something very special. A cover that captures the energy, emotion, and essence of this project. This conversation is a reminder that not everyone needs to be center stage to be central to the story. Success is built in the background just as much as the foreground, and this cover is proof of that. So let's go behind the scenes with Simon and talk about creative collaboration, the power of visuals, and what it really means to help bring a vision to life. Please give a big warm welcome into the spotlight, Simon.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. I couldn't do this podcast series without you. You've been an integral part of the process.
It's been a pleasure. It's been great. Love to. Now we've done it, it's nice to be able to talk about it as well.
Exactly. So thank you very much again for being here. Let me start by asking you, when I first came to the drawing board with my ideas for the Spotlight on Success cover, what were your initial thoughts creatively and really the concept that I'd kind of tried to hone in on?
Well, I think, yeah, absolutely. I think when we first started this project, obviously we had a long conversation and we discussed a couple of possible routes we could go. For me, it was all about capturing. There's a general theme of it. Whenever you create a book cover, it's very much kind of understanding the contents and the magic that's going on in the pages. And obviously, being the first point of call that people will see of the book, we want something that matches and takes that and makes it into this visual kind of, wow moment for everyone looking at the book. And I think more specifically, the spotlight, the fact it was spotlight on success, and we were looking at showcasing these wonderful authors in the collaboration. We wanted obviously something to shine that spotlight, and I think visually, that I know you'll agree. When we first started speaking, that was something we really wanted to focus on and get that actually light and shine it on. Well, I say shine it on now. I pause because we had a discussion, didn't we? That we spoke about we wanted to shine it. We couldn't really shine it on one person because you've got such a range of beautiful people writing the book, and we didn't want to. The problem is when you make it shine on an actual person and visually, we don't want to not discriminate. That's not the right word, but you don't want to focus on one gender, one size, one. It's all about everything. So we wanted to. That was the first challenge we had, and I say challenge in a good positive way, because in creativity, challenges are what us creatives thrive for, and I'm sure obviously with the performance background you've got as well, you understand that, your challenge is effectively making yourself work, push yourself further. So yeah, we had that, and we looked at a number of options, and I work in a very much a way that we don't write anything off the table yet. So we did experiment with a few options of generic figures, let's say, and I think you can agree it didn't quite work the way we wanted it to. It didn't quite have that essence that we were after. But equally, if we hadn't have done that, we wouldn't have known that, and it wouldn't have pushed us down the route that we did go down.
100% trial and error, although with intention. It was great process. And it was really interesting for me to be the other side of that with you. Obviously, I've created choreography, productions, things like that. But to go into the graphic side, and I had a vision, let's not lie. Like I had a strong vision, and it's very difficult, isn't it, when somebody comes into a concept with an idea, but how do you translate that from person to person? I find it difficult in the
Yeah,
boardroom in terms of production as well. But if you are both dedicated and committed to creativity, which you and I are, there was no way we were going to not get to where we wanted to be. And it was just a case of keep the conversation flowing, keep the ideas coming, and we'll get there. And I 100% believe we would. It's really interesting what you say about the one person, because being a collaboration, I was very, I became quickly very strongly opinionated that it needed to not be about or seemingly look
yeah,
like one spotlight, one person. So anyone that's got the book in front of them, they will see more than one spotlight on that page. That cover has several spotlights, some coming from the bottom, which actually there's 13 of them to represent the
yeah,
co-authors. We've got angled spotlights, and again, there's different layers of that light because one, there was more than one person to put the spotlight on. And two, the whole point of the book is that there's not just one spotlight to succeed in.
exactly.
And
Yes.
so you and I really kind of got inside that message. And it was a process, but oh my goodness, I'm so thrilled with how it looks now. And that is all thanks to you and your patience with me, Simon.
Well, like you said, the key for any collaboration, and the book was a collaboration, but the process was a collaboration as well. And I always say, it's about keeping those communication channels open. And we had numerous meetings. We were constantly in communication via like instant message and things like that. And I'm not one of those creatives that will go away and go, I tell you, I know what you need, and create something and just give it to you and expect you to kind of accept that. Because for me, it's your book, and you've obviously worked, you come to me to work to create your vision. So it's your vision, but I'm a part of it. And obviously it takes both of us to create that. So I think, yeah, there are kind of hidden meanings, like you say, 13 spotlights along the bottom. That was something very keen that we both wanted to get in there. One of the concepts we came up originally was the heart, with the spotlight creating a heart, which was probably, I think we moved away a little bit from that because it was probably too literal. But again, the concept was it was creating this love and this passion, because obviously the strapline of the book is where passion meets purpose. And I wanted to tie it in as well, that we made it almost look like the lights were creating sections of the heart that lock together, so that you said when you teach and when you do what you do, it's kind of that Venn diagram we spoke about and that crossover, and it's not black and white. And I think you mentioned it when you said a moment ago about numerous spotlights. That was important as well. And what I really liked about, obviously, as a leader that you are, obviously this collaboration, not only did you not want it to be about one person, but you didn't want it to be about you, which I think is was really important, and really kind of, total respect for that, because some people, especially when they write a collaboration, they want to, even like obviously for their own book, but a collaboration, they want kind of, excuse the pun, be in the spotlight. But you didn't. You definitely wanted to step back and make it about the authors and the journey, really.
Oh, thank you for acknowledging that. Because it's been a pulling point, because on a business perspective, then hell yeah, we should be shouting loudly about the fact that I have brought this vision to life. But
Yeah.
honest to God, it does not feel like my project, my thing. It's a collaboration and did not want it to be about me. And yes, we had many conversations. I'm like, take my name off the front. No, I
I was
don't
going to say that. Yeah, you only your
with
name
the
taken
others.
off originally.
I mean, there's certain things when publishing a book that has to happen, and we've had the guidance from Louisa,
Yeah.
so the other two parts of the publishing pod. So things like my name had to be on there for Amazon to allow it to be published. But Simon will know. I was like, no, this isn't about me. Can we put all of the co-authors' names on the bottom of the book there? And obviously, there's not enough space, and there's not it's not the right way to do it professionally. But yes, it wasn't about me, and hence why I absolutely love that each page inside has actually got graphics and heart involved, bringing those co-authors to life as equal as the front cover. And that's really special because when they open that book, I want them to know that it's absolutely about each and every one of us in equal measures. And I think you offering to create those inside graphics, which I know
Yeah.
is not often the case, was really special to me because it meant that everybody was in the spotlight, every single
Everyone needed that, I
day.
think. And obviously, reading, obviously, you know the book inside out. Louisa and Joe will know the book more than me because obviously they're involved in the actual process inside of the covers. But obviously, my role is to focus on that, like I said, that first impact that people get. With my background in branding and creative services anyway, that's what I tried to focus on. But equally, I needed a background of the book, and when I read like the synopsis that went on the back, it was very clear instantly that it is about showcasing and putting the spotlight on each of the 13 individual co-authors, let's say. I did agree you needed to be on there, and I know you were really humble and you didn't want yourself, but I did want you on there because I think you need to take credit for what you've done bringing all this together. But I do share that it's about everyone. And I think the pages in between, a book on the surface is obviously just lots of words, but it's a journey. And I wanted that journey. The fact it was segmented into these different authors' pieces. When I'm creating anything creative, whether it is a brand and identity project, whether it is a book cover, whether it's anything, I want that person to feel proud. I want them to get that energetic buzz that this is what I did, this is me, this is my business, this is me speaking. So I just think adding those extra chapter heading pages with the photos, so you can. I mean, from a reader's point of view, you can visualize the person talking in those pages, and I think that just bringing all that together was really special, and it just helped the flow through the book.
100%. I'm eternally grateful for that. And if you've got the book in front of you, listeners, please do pick it up. And you're absolutely right. When you then read the words, you know who's talking. You
Yeah,
can see them. You
makes it personal.
Yeah, 100%. And this book is personal.
Yeah,
My goodness, we have put our heart and soul into the pages. And I know that you put your heart into the front cover design with me. It wasn't a quick flash in the pan process. That was, like we said, back and forward. And speaking of heart, we did try the Venn diagram. It's part of my business kind of anatomy, like how I talk about the passion and the purpose coming together. And we did try and create that heart, and we didn't use it as was. But if you're looking at the book cover, ladies and gents, you will see there's little hearts in the light. So where you would get light specks, I don't know what the word is.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the
Light
words, but yeah,
specks.
effectively, yeah,
We've now got a couple of heart specks in there because, again, it was important that, well, through the process, it then became apparent and important that heart was a big part of it, but it
yeah.
wasn't as bold and obvious as a big red heart in the middle of the page. But it'd be funny, wouldn't it, one day to show everybody the few
The
attempts.
concepts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we should
because I say
definitely do that.
it's definitely like you said, it's not a quick fix process, and I think the problem with some this isn't me knocking anyone, but there's sometimes you see out there that people kind of do rush the process. I think for something, all projects I do, but especially with book covers, and then especially with this book cover, it was very much that it was all about collaboration. That was the name of the game for the book, I'm sure it was for the writing of it, and obviously for us working together on the cover. And that's in the publishing pod. That's how we like to treat the authors, that they are part of the process because we don't want to just take and like almost stand up and say, look, this is us, this is what you need. Where there is an element of saying this is what I suggest, but equally I don't preach. I kind of just put it in front of you. We have a conversation, and we did. And I think, like you say, the little hearts in the background were a lovely little nod. They're subtle, but they're there. And the first one, like I said, it would be great to show people, and I'm absolutely open for you to share those, because it is that journey and that progression. And I think the red heart looked great, but it was a bit too much in your face. I think there was other elements that we needed to position in a visual like hierarchy that came forward first, and then that was like a subtle nod in the background, and I think it worked beautifully.
I'm really, really chuffed with it. And in real life, in the flesh, that color that we chose, because it was a red book cover for a little while, and then I said,
Yeah,
can we just try it in the gold and the light? And yeah, what a difference! And that I think in the red in the real life would have been great. It would have been powerful, but it wouldn't have felt as striking and as
yeah.
like a beam of light. Really, it literally shines. And
It
you
lights up, and I think another challenge we had was effectively we did red to start with, like you say, with the initial concepts, and I completely agree with the decision to flip it. My only concern when we did say we'd go with a lighter background is effectively you're showing spotlights, which against the darker background, you've got the contrast of the light and the dark. but it works because we've made it is a lighter cover, but equally creatively we've made sure that the lights are still focused on, but they're not necessarily too in your face, if that makes sense as well. It's a nice softer book cover, and I think that really highlights the messaging of what the book's about.
Yeah, it is. And you say we, it was completely you.
Oh,
I just said change the color. Can we change the color? And you're thinking, oh my goodness, Nicole, no. But you made that work for me. And again, you're a creative like I am. And sometimes those new little challenges, as much as they can be frustrating, they're nice. They get your energy going, a
yeah.
little challenge. And if it hadn't have worked, that's absolutely fine. But you took on the challenge and
You
you
don't
made
know until you try it.
100%.
And yeah, I remember showing you the version when we first flipped it to the lighter palette, and I think you just said, "I love it," or something along those lines. And it's those first moments that really give. I was saying about the people in there that get the pride and the buzz of it. Those are the kind of moments for me. It's almost like, yeah, there's the connection there that we've done this and we're on the right track and we're getting there, and that was lovely for me to hear as well.
So I'm sure, Simon, there'll be people that are listening that are considering writing a book, considering
Mhm.
creating a book cover on their own, and that's absolutely fine. Like I wish them a lot of luck. I know now from this side of the finishing line how difficult that is. And I had a team, I had an ensemble, a crew of people like yourself helping. But if they were thinking of doing a project as big as this on their own, as a designer, what are your little tips and tricks for them?
I think really, I mean, if you obviously if you can work with the creative and get it right, it's when you're working with the creative, it's all about understand. So get in contact, have conversations. We've already spoke about having conversations. Have those initial conversations because it's someone you need to work with rather than just get someone to do it for you. I think that's really important. If you were doing it for yourself, I think what I would recommend is obviously do some background work because these are things you don't see. So as soon as we had that chat, I've got like a mood board that I've got images pasted there. I know you sent me a number of images which were like this. You liked it. There was the lady. I can't remember which singer it was, but there was the smoke coming up, and we were like, we really like that mystery and that kind of. And there is again subtle smoke in there. Um, but it's all about understanding each other. So completely taking on board where you're seeing it going, and I say challenge in the nicest possible way. When you're working with another creative, albeit from a different creative industry, but still creative, it adds different challenges because you're obviously already a few steps ahead of someone who's not a creative because you've got vision. Um, so if someone's not a creative at all, I think it's a case of going in, looking at what your competitors are doing, looking at the kind of Joe will know more about this, and I'm sure you've spoken to Joe, and we'll speak to her on her episode. But about the categories you want to go into, see what's out there, and making sure you give the title. It's all about the hierarchy, so making sure the title's big and bold, making sure you've got a subtitle, making sure your name's in there, and possibly, obviously for yours, we added on the line about hosting. Hang on, I've just got an image here. I can't show it because obviously it's this was recorded before the launch, but a collection of stories hosted by yourself. That just kind of tells people in a snapshot what the book's all about. I think doing that, doing your research, planning that, visually making sure it's appealing, but equally doesn't the visual over appeal doesn't need to. The main messaging is the key point, and just really have fun with it. Make something that sure that something's on brand for you, something that connects with you, connects with the story that the book is all about. That's really important because this is the shop front, effectively. This is the thing that people are going to first see when they come to it.
That was super kind of you to give all of that information. Listeners, if you're anything like me, like all overwhelmed, what do I do
Sorry.
next? No, 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 it's good. I can't do this on my own. Well, please know that Simon is absolutely available. It's that thing, Simon, isn't it? Like we can all find out this information. We can, write notes just now with the top tier info and instructions you just gave so freely. We can ask AI. We can, but when somebody is a professional in their chosen careers and industry, they have this real natural knowledge. Like that just rolled off your tongue. You know exactly what order things need to be in, you know the colors that work, you're collaborative, you're creative, you've got the tech. You know, we're all thinking, yeah, we can do this on Canva, but this is not a project for Canva. If you want to elevate yourself, you need to know exactly how and specifically what tech to get that quality that we've got. So yes, it is something we can do ourselves. We absolutely could do everything ourselves.
Absolutely, it makes it available now. All the tech that's available, you can do whatever you want.
I'm
But
a firm believer of collaboration. It's
Mhm.
part of the ethos of Performerpreneur. It's part of the ethos of this book. And actually, prior to writing a book or becoming a business coach, in the performing industry, like I said in the intro, we have crew, we have ensemble, we have support, we have teachers, we have coaches. So I would love, love, love for people to come and find you specifically because hand on heart through experience now, that back and forward ping pong kind of conversation with another creative was so exciting for me because like you like you've said, some people that come to your board table haven't got creative bone in the body, and that's okay too. And sometimes when I go into a boardroom and start talking productions and costumes, I'm talking to a room full of people that equally haven't got a creative bone
yeah,
in their body, and that's okay. That's why they
absolutely.
bring us in. But that conversation is totally different. This one was so organic and free and back and
I
forth.
agree.
And
Yeah.
it was really nice to have that creative conversation with another creative. Because sometimes it is a solo project in terms of, yes, we're working together, but we can't seem to get the vision to match. And this really didn't happen, did it?
No, it seems like straight away. I was just about to say the first conversation we had, it was just a lovely chat. We had a lovely chat. I really felt I got to know you more. I got to know more about the book. I could see like because I always say as well when I have these conversations with people, if they're not creatives, and like you say, I always work on the process of if you don't know, you don't know. You know, if that's not what your day to day, then why would you know? You know, so that's why you bring experts in. But we kind of instantly hit it off, and instantly kind of I always say when I'm talking to people, if they're not creative, the cogs start whirring as we're talking about things. I pick up things. You'll see me making notes, but I could see that in you as well. So obviously we were bouncing back and forth, and we were both kind of processing as well where we were going with this, and that is essentially the first step. That would be my bit of advice to anyone that did want to work with a creative, is to just reach out and have those conversations because I've had conversations and with people who have kind of been a bit hazy with what they want to do, whether it's books or whatever it is. And after a half an hour call, they've taken something out of it. And they're starting that focus is getting a bit sharper and a bit clearer, and the path is becoming clear in front of them. And yes, it's not necessarily going to be like one half an hour chat, you're going to be completely sorted. But if someone goes away and they've just got that kind of bit more clarity, a bit more focus on their project, that makes me feel good. And I can tell when people feel good. And you know, you get a message afterwards saying, "Lovely to speak to you. I'm buzzing," or I've had ones that people they've got that fire, and that's what it's all about. So I think it is that would be my tip is to reach out and have those conversations.
Well, exactly that, because if we, or should I say when I show the original concepts with the original conversation, imagine I was doing that on my own. They kind of would have stuck there. And this is so much better than that. You know, so if you are doing something on your own, you haven't got that back and forward, you haven't got that support, you haven't got that collaborative element. And so you will get stuck at the first idea. And as much as that would have been okay, it wouldn't have been brilliant. So thank you again. Now,
That's my pleasure.
you are a graphic designer, not only for book covers. So I'd love, love, love to share more about you with the listeners, whether it be a book, a brand, a big idea. You help people bring that to life with your creativity, your talent. So would you gladly tell everybody where they can find you, what the essence of your business is, what your
Absolutely.
what your best bits are?
Absolutely. Well, obviously, the book covers is just one side of my business. So my business is kind of split into two. One is looking at the brand and the identity of any business or individuals, could be individuals. And it's really about there's the kind of the background work that I do with people to help them bring that out because a lot of people are quite either introverted or humble and they don't want to bring that out. And it's all about looking at these key components that are going to magnetically draw people to you and then taking that and making an accurate representation into a visual external brand that aligns with that, not only for people to find you and to come to you, but also for yourself to keep you on that track, like I said about the pathway. And then the second half of the, which is where the books come in, is working with that brand. Because when people say the term, I've got my branding sorted, you've never got your branding sorted. Everything you put out needs to be aligned with that first section. So that's why I help people with their marketing assets, whether that's online and digital or in print, large format, whatever it might be. And obviously within that comes the book covers, because you can create an identity and brand for anything. So obviously we often think just company brands, but you've got personal brands, you've got events, you've got products such as books. And in essence, it what I said about the front cover being that kind of spotlight for people to see, that's the essence of any kind of brand work, is your external identity, and in this case, the book cover is what people are first going to see, and it needs to align. And I think I think you'll agree, we've created something that not only absolutely encapsulates what's inside and the magic that's in the book, but also for you as an author as well, and encapsulates you. From getting to know you from this process, I think that book just aligns with you and your brand perfectly.
Yeah. Well, there's probably a lot of work to do on the rest of my brand. But yes, we have nailed the book cover. But there is definitely, like you say, always evolving, always room for improvements. You'll be definitely getting an email from me at the end of this book launch process, to say, right, like what else? And because when you meet somebody that you can work so well with, it's always my intention to keep them close. Like, how can we work? How can we go further
It's
together?
like having an extra team member, and like you said about people doing it on their own, it's almost like you're building a virtual team. And while you're not, when you think of team, you think, oh, payroll and all that, but it doesn't have to be that. It's just having that contact, having that expertise that you can call on, not necessarily just to actually create something, but you now know that I'm on the end of the phone, I'm on a message. If you want to run anything past me, you can voice note me, and that's what it's all about for me. So the project doesn't just finish. It's about keeping those channels open. I have clients that message me and they say, "Oh, could I borrow a moment of your time?" And they'll ask me my opinion on things, and that's absolutely fine. Um, I did realise in the last bit I didn't actually tell you where you could find out more about me. But if you go onto my website, which is actually simonclementscreative.co.uk, that's got a bit more about me. It's got examples of my work and the different things that I do. I am I'm on all socials, but mainly Facebook and LinkedIn. If you just search Simon Clements brand, I think it's under, then you'll find me anyway. But
And everything will be in the show notes as well for people to click and have a little look around as
perfect.
well. And then within your website, there'll be ways to reach out to you and see. I
Certainly.
mean, the shame of it is we haven't got your name specifically on the book, I don't believe. And I'm such a big fan of collaboration. Like, I'm now thinking, why haven't we not got that? Is that on there? Book cover designed by?
It's not at the moment because obviously we've obviously worked as a bigger picture of the publishing pod,
Yeah,
and obviously the publishing pod logo is on the back, and
yeah.
obviously the two lovely ladies that are at the other parts of the publishing pod. Um, we all work as a collaborative, so obviously their names aren't on there either. But equally, I think on their literature and social posts and things like that, because again, this wasn't just about the book cover. Obviously, that was the main part, but obviously we've got a suite of like promotional posts for you as well to
Yeah.
help the continuation of getting out there, and they're all aligned with the styling of the book cover. And so yeah, I know that obviously when Louisa and Joe do share posts about the book, they do, to be fair, always tag me in there and credit me, which is lovely. But I'm very much like you. I think these kind of, for me, this book is all about, it's your product, it's your baby, it's all about you, and obviously the not just you because it's not just your book, but I mean the people that have actually written the book. So I'm quite humble and happy to stay in the background, which I'm really good at helping other people get the spotlight. But for me, I'm quite introverted and I do step back a little bit. Maybe I shouldn't, but equally, I'm good with not being on there initially because I know, and you know, and that we've all been a big part of it.
Yeah, and well, there was no way I wasn't going to do this podcast without you. So I'm glad that you accepted the invitation to come and speak with us, even though you are an introvert. I don't believe it myself, but you are an introvert.
I'm one of those introverts that in most social situations I'm very introverted. But if you get me talking about something I'm passionate about or I've got knowledge about, then that kind of dissipates a bit and I kind of come out my shell. Um, but equally, if a networking event or whatever, it's that initial first contact that I do struggle with. But once I'm out there, I'm more than happy to talk about things that, you know, it's been such a great project to work on.
I completely get that. I'm very similar. And it then brings us back round to the tagline of the book, when passion meets purpose. And like you say, when you're passionate about something, you've got the purpose behind it. It's not hard work. It's not,
No,
it's not stilted. It's just joy. And I really do feel that you have such joy for your role in every collaboration, I'm sure. And I certainly felt it with us, and I was glad to have you on the team, because you were as an integral part of that, as I said. So,
thank you.
Simon, have you managed to read the book? Is there anything, who do you think the book would, that's a trick question. Of course, I've read the book. No. Who do you think, knowing what you know about me, knowing what you know about the front cover, the synopsis, and the few chapters that hopefully you flicked through, who do you think the book would be of value to?
I think anyone that's effectively has got a passion for performing effectively overall, and whether I think we have to look at that as I'll just go back to the creative thing. When people say, "Are you creative?" and a lot of people go, "Oh, I'm not creative at all," but we've all got some kind of level of creativity in them, and I think we've all got some kind of creativity to perform. And I know through all looking through the book of all the different authors you've got in there, you couldn't pigeonhole them all into the same box. They're all so different. So I think anyone that's got a passion for performance, for putting themselves out there, for because it is one of those where that's what people see, but it's about so much more than that. And I think it's a real kind of, again, excuse the pun, behind the curtain, you know? And I think anyone that's got that kind of that magic and that joy of performing in any kind of way, I think would really enjoy it, and I think would really get something out of it. I think it appeals to a wider audience than just performers, but I think those are the people that would probably get the most out of it.
I love that. I've got goose pimples. You're absolutely right. Um, the whole point of the book is, do not pigeonhole yourself. Do not follow one version of success. There's a multitude of ways that you can succeed, you can shine, you can be creative, you can thrive. And you're absolutely right in saying it's for people with magic. And those people with magic are going to use that magic to do so much more than they ever believed possible. And yeah, I think on that note, with the book cover in mind, it feels magical, it looks magical, and the people inside it are magical. And you have been a magical part of that process as well, Simon. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much. It's probably worth saying that you haven't got rid of me yet, because as much as I'm going to hook you up for some branding stuff, there is a second book coming. And so we'll be able to go through that whole process again.
I look forward to it. No, it's been genuinely, it has been a really nice and joyful process to go through. I think at the beginning we had, again, it's not challenges in a bad way. We had those kind of decisions to make, let's say, and I think we went past those hurdles perfectly.
Very.
And if anything, it made us stronger going through those to get to where we are in the final product.
I
So
couldn't agree more. No,
it's been
you're
amazing.
absolutely right. And so the next process will be a lot smoother, and equally as enjoyable. Ladies and gents, if you're listening and you're thinking, I want to be part of that second collaboration book, we launch in 2026. You have to get your applications in now if you think you've got a creative, fabulous, emotional, heart-led, humbling story to tell, whatever it is that you think takes you into a different spotlight and you think the world needs to hear it or see it, we welcome you to be part of the collaboration with us in 2026. For now, we say thank you to Simon. I will see you, Simon, in a
Thank you.
few months where we get going on the next edition of Spotlight on Success.
Can't wait. Thank you so much.
Bye now.
Bye.
There you have it. Thank you for joining us on today's episode of the Spotlight series, where stories shine and success gets redefined. If you loved what you heard, hit like, follow, or subscribe. And be sure to grab your copy of Spotlight on Success over on Amazon. And don't forget to tag us at PerformerPreneur across all socials. If you've been inspired today to step into a new spotlight, you can find a whole community ready to support you at performerpreneur.co.uk, as well as up-and-coming events and even more about each author. Until next time, stay bold, stay brilliant, and continue to shine.